Hey guys, welcome back. I wanted to hop on today and do a tag that's been going around for a while now, but it looked really fun. It's the My First Time tag, and the only thing is every time I would try to find questions for this, every video I watched, they were all different. So I kind of just picked one and went with those questions. So let's get started. Do I still talk to my first love? Yes, I do. Sometimes. We're Facebook friends. I actually talk to his fiance more than I talk to him, but we do still talk, and I don't have any problems with him. He's a really nice guy. Like I said, he's engaged. He has two beautiful kids, and yeah, I'm happy for him. What was my first alcoholic drink? It was shots of Bacardi 151, I believe. It was disgusting, and my friends and I thought we were cool, so we took shots, and needless to say, I threw up and I wanted to die. So, never again. My first car was Mercury Cougar. My uncle actually gave it to me for my Christmas/birthday present. Christmas, and then my birthday is January 13th, so he called and asked if I wanted it, and the answer was yes, obviously. What teenager wouldn't want a free car? My first job, I worked at a church camp. I was a counselor, and it kind of ties in if you don't really count that. I was a server at a waitress little cafe right by my house, and I liked it. It was fun. I met a lot of fun people and good times. The first person to text me today was one of my old bosses, actually. It's my friend Brian. He was the first person to text me today, and it was a stupid picture. The first person I thought of this morning was my son because he was crying and he wanted to get up, so I had to go get him up. My first grade teacher. I actually don't really understand why people don't remember this. I feel like I'm the only one who does. Her name was Mrs. Lakites, and she was like the nicest lady ever, but she didn't put up with any crap, which was kind of cool now looking back, but not at the time. I remember one time I was crying because she wouldn't let me read the book I wanted or do an art craft that I wanted or what have you, and she basically told me to just sit and cry about it then if I didn't like it. So I remember putting my head down and crying. Yeah, it was one of those. Where did I go on my first ride on an airplane? I flew to Florida to visit my grandmother who was really ill with cancer, and I spent the summer with her. My first best friend, and do we still talk? My first best friends, I actually were two, was this girl Lindsay and Rachel. Lindsay and I went to school together. We were really good friends. We were very close. Believe it or not, when I was younger, I was really shy, and so was she. So we kind of like stuck together like peas in a pod. And then Rachel was my neighbor. Her grandparents lived down the street from me, and her and her brother were there all the time. So we hung out a lot, and we bonded really. And unfortunately, no, I don't talk to either of them anymore. They were both killed in car accidents. Rachel in 2005 and Lindsay 2009, I believe. And no, excuse me, mine too. 2011. I'm really bad with years. I could tell you Rachel was February 20th and Lindsay was December 19th. And ironically enough, they were actually killed at the same place. Really weird and sad at the same time. Where was my first sleepover? It was with at Rachel's house. I remember being really scared and like being really homesick, but my parents were excited because they got a date night, and Rachel and I had fun. I got through it. So who was the first person I talked to today was my son. I mentioned earlier I had to get him up because he was crying, and then after that was my friend Brian who texted me. Whose wedding was I in for the first time? It was my mom's friend Karen. I was a little girl. I don't even think I was in school yet, and I was the flower girl in her wedding. Let's see. What was the first thing I did this morning? First thing I did was check my phone and brush my teeth, I think at the same time. The first concert I ever went to, okay, here it goes. I'm actually really embarrassed. The first concert I ever went to, I was 5 years old, and my mom got me tickets to see Billy Ray Cyrus. Yeah, go ahead. laugh. I know you want to. I was 5 and I was in love with Billy Ray Cyrus. Don't judge me. Everybody now is in love with his daughter. I was in love with him, and it was a dark time in my life. So actually, my mom likes to tell the story that we went to the concert and I was like front row, and I was singing like "Shake It, Billy" to "Achy Breaky Heart." Yeah, true story. I can't believe I just told the world that. My first broken bone, happy to get off the subject of the last question. My first broken bone was my tailbone. I broke it about 4 years ago. I was walking across the parking lot at work and I slipped on black ice and I fell, and I'm actually like, it sucks. I'm actually in like a lot of pain all the time from that. So don't ever break your tailbone. You'll hate yourself forever. My first piercing was my ears. Right after that, I got my belly button done. Since then, I've pierced my nose and my breasts for a while. First foreign country I've gone to, I actually haven't yet. So I'm kind of failing on that, but I will soon enough. First movie I remember seeing would probably be Robin Hood with Kevin Costner, Christian Slater. I used to love that movie as a kid, and I think that was one of the first movies I can honestly remember watching. My first detention was in the 6th grade. This lady, Mrs. Davis, she was kind of uptight and strict, and I was like the class clown. I thought I was funny, and I don't know, she like annoyed me because she always would tell me to like be quiet and stuff. So I guess I just kept talking, and she wrote me up, and I went to detention. And she's the only teacher I think who's ever given me detention, like in my whole life. So she sucked. My first roommate was my friend Katie. I think I was 19 when we moved in together. We had our own place. It was like $500 a month between the two of us, and we threw like the best parties ever. If I had one wish, what would it be? That's kind of tough. I think if I had one wish, I would wish for there to be no type of animal cruelty. I would wish that everybody would love animals and treat them kindly, and if you're just going to keep them as lawn ornaments, don't get them, because they deserve a happy home. And I also, tying into that, would also want people to stop having so much hatred for pit bulls and bully breeds, and they're great dogs, and I wish people would treat them as such. End of rant. What is something I would learn if I had the chance? I think I would really like to learn to play guitar. I could play like a little bit, but not really anything impressive, and I think I would really like to do that. First lessons I ever took is the last question, and I don't think I have taken really. I guess would be when I was a little kid. I was on a basketball team. We had to try out. We were the little Spartans. We had to try out for that, and I sucked. I still hate basketball to this day, probably because of that. It's traumatic for me. But yeah, that was probably the first lessons I ever took, and I think the last. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this tag. I tag all of you. I hope you do it. If you have, feel free to post video responses to me, and I would love to watch them. And I hope you guys have a great day. Bye!